Hi, and welcome to the Assured and Brazen podcast. I'm your host, Kevin. This is episode 6 now. And one of the things I got a lot of comments about for some of the past episodes is, of course, voice projection, tonality, all that good stuff. I'm definitely taking heed to all the feedback that I'm getting. And any feedback I get, like I said, it's really appreciated. I don't take it to heart. It's all been positive, which is also another thing. I think that's a blessing in itself. I know I'm not perfect, and I don't intend to be perfect with these episodes. It's just to get the message out there. But I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep making good content eventually, or should start. It should start getting better, I should say. We'll get to a level or a standard where I'm happy with, and that you guys are also happy with, right? So keep giving me feedback, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah, appreciate it. So today's episode, we're on episode 6, right? This one is gonna be titled. I think we're gonna call this one like "Who Runs Your Wallet?" Yeah, I think I like that one. Who runs your wallet? So before I start, I have to share wherever you are experiencing this, right? Podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart, and what's the other one? Deezer. I just ask that you like, comment, subscribe, or share it. It doesn't cost you anything, and it also helps kind of spread the message and what we're trying to do here, right? As I mentioned, this is not for my benefit any way, right? This is all for God. I'm trying to give the glory, and it's gonna just help these different algorithms kind of push it out a little bit more to people that are more interested in this thing, right? That we're trying to build here. Any little or any big amount that you want to support is appreciated. So, as I said, this one's going to be called "Who Owns Your Wallet?" And I think this is a good topic, right, to cover. It's probably one of the more difficult ones, I would say. So I hope I do it some justice with with the ideas that I'm bringing with you guys today, right? So I had a moment at the grocery store back in my college days that I'll never forget. And I remember I was standing in line, looking at a cart full of stuff that we probably do every day, even today in 2026. And I probably didn't really need everything in the cart, right? But I had this sunken feeling in my stomach. And I remember it wasn't just about the, however much money I had in my account, because as you know, as a student, we don't got much money in our accounts. It was the realization that my money was my master at the time. Okay? So every dollar I earned was already spoken for at the time, right? Being a student, you gotta buy books. You have to pay your credit cards if you have any, student loans, any subscription services that you might have as well, right? Or the ones that you forget to cancel. Even actually happens to me all the time. I never pay attention to that stuff, but I'm getting better. We're getting better. God's working on all of this. And I think the thing we like to say is that we own our own stuff, right? But if we're being honest, if your debt is telling you where to work and how to live, then you don't own your stuff. Your stuff owns you. And I think that's a pretty big realization that people don't see. Because today, if we're being, like I said, honest, and we want to admit that stewardship, right, isn't about giving God a tip, right? It's about reclaiming our freedom from a system designed to keep us broke and distracted as well, right? So keep us broke and distracted. Let that sink in for a little bit, because some people probably didn't. That went over your head, I'm sure. The truth is, if you go to Psalm 24, which I got in front of me, that's what I'm reading, and it says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it," right? And most of us live with a manager's heart, but have an owner's ego, okay? And we think that we are the CEOs of our lives, and it's not exactly the case, right? We get stressed when the numbers don't add up, but when you realize you're just a steward, right? You're basically a manager of God's assets. Then the pressure that you have built for yourself changes, right? You're just managing someone else's money. For me, the bold thing that we can do isn't just about writing a check, in church. That's not what stewardship is, right? It's not what that 10% that you're supposed to give is about. It's a mental shift, right? So if you think of yourself as a pipe, and not a bucket. A bucket just like holds water until it gets stagnant, right? It can't fill up anymore. It gets to that point where like it just overflows. Where a pipe, it just lets water flow through it. And if you think of yourself as that pipe, God's pipe, you're gonna hydrate the world. If you want God to pour more into your life, you have to stop being a dead end for his resources. Now, of course, I always bring this back every episode. We have to audit ourselves. I think if there's one thing that you could take away is that like there's always like the one thing that nobody ever like finds out about, right? There's not a sin necessarily, right? Maybe like a shortcut or the way you talk about your boss when they're not around, right? Right? Like your boss isn't there, so he can't defend himself. He can't say anything. So the way that you adjust, I should say, that's the best possible phrase I could say, yourself, maybe to even look better in front of other people, right? These are all things that you have to watch out for, I would say, right? Of course, we have these gray areas, right, in our lives where the foundation starts to rot and wither away, right? If you're in the public eye, maybe a celebrity or something like that, it's different for you, right? Because in your private life, if your private life is on sand, your house is gonna tilt. The foundation has to be solid for it to not fall apart. So how can we like justify this like gray area of our lives? I think everyone does it. We don't want to compare ourselves on this podcast. We don't want to compare ourselves to the world. We want to compare ourselves to the truth, right? And God is the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. He says this. Jesus says this actually. I am the way, the truth, and the light. No one should come to the Father except but through me, right? And just to close the gap a little bit, right? Be the same person in the dark that you are in the light. Okay? Like these are the things that we as Christians, we as people in general on this earth have to battle, right? And I personally think that like going through these struggles, these trials, these tribulations, you will come across a lot of gray areas in your life that you have to steward, whether it's financial, spiritual, even biblical practices or principles. Right? These are things that you need to not just steward well, but you have to also pray about these things too. So, how can I say? God doesn't want your money because he's broke. Like, he definitely ain't broke. He wants your heart. And I think God knows your heart is tied to your bank app. And the crazy thing is, like, we know it too, because a lot of people have this like consumerism mentality, depending on the country you live in, of course. People like nice things, they like to buy nice things. You have two types of people in the world, right? They're either savers or they're spenders. There's really like no in between. Of course, if you're saving for the right things, cool. You might make a big spend on something, and that's fine. But if you're spending for all the wrong things and you're using the money that God gave you in the worst way possible, right? How are you going to bless others? How are you going to advance or do that growth thing that we were talking about, right? So I'd like to just say a quick little prayer for you guys. Lord, break the chains of more. Give us the bold courage to live in less than we make, so we can give more than we ever dreamed. Right? Transform us from owners into stewards. Amen. So, as you all know, every week we got another challenge. This week's challenge, no different. Usually they're always going to be pretty easy. This might be a little bit tougher for some others, what we got to see. But I want you to look at your last 30 days of spending. I want you to find 3 things you bought purely out of noise, maybe just to compare yourself to somebody, boredom, maybe it's something for status, whatever it might be, right? Maybe cancel those subscriptions or skip those purchases this week, right? And take that exact dollar amount, right? And we're just going to give it away, right? It's a bit of a bold thing to do, I know. I'm sure you can find anyone in your local community, a neighbor in need, maybe a local charity, or someone at work, who's struggling, and give it without a name attached, right? Prove to yourself and to the bank account that you have that it doesn't run your life. That's the whole point of this exercise. Okay? I'm your host, Kevin. Own your tools and don't let them own you. All right? Stay assured, stay brazen. Bye.